It is time to conclude the 2025-26 season previews today, and we have the Winnipeg Jets. So Winnipeg, we saved them for the best for last because they were the first team in the National Hockey League last year for the first time ever in their franchise's history. Now, we're asking ourselves the question heading into this coming year, can they do that again? We have now concluded all of the season previews for the 2025-26 season. We have done Anaheim all the way up to Washington now, fully complete, and now you see the Winnipeg video here. So if you want to watch all of them in a complete playlist, it'll probably take you about 6 hours to get it done, probably more. You can go check out here in the card above. But anyways, on to the Winnipeg Jets here. The Jets have been a pretty consistent, solid team for the last few years now. They've had a few seasons where they've actually gone up and finished in the top 5. But first off, let's go back to 2022-23, where the team went 46-33-3 for 95 points. They were 14th in the NHL. They would be a wild card team. They would take on the Stanley Cup champions. The Vegas Golden Knights. Had a little bit of a brain fart there for a second. And they would actually win the first game, but then they would lose the rest. And there was that. They lost the series, and there you go. It's over. So that was pretty much that. I thought it was a solid season, though, by the Jets. And they head into that offseason with a really big decision to make. Because you had Scheifele and Hellebuck coming up on the last year of your contracts. And you could have asked yourself the question, well, do we want to tear this team down, or do we want to sign these guys and go all in? And they chose to sign them and go all in, which, hey, I mean, I would have picked the same thing, to be honest with you. We said it on the podcast numerous times. We were like, yeah, that was the right move to go. In 23-24, that following year, the team would take a pretty big step. They went 52-24-6 for 110 points. They were 4th in the league. Even though they had 110 points, which is awesome, they were still 2nd in the Central Division. They would take on Colorado. They lost in 5 games. That was when the narrative of, playoff Hellebuck really started, because that was a really rough playoff series. And Winnipeg was going in there against Alexander Georgiev, who I don't know if you guys know who Georgiev is. He's not very great. But regardless, there was that, and obviously, with that result, the Jets weren't able to get that done, and that really started the Hellebuck playoff narrative. This season, though, they would get better. Somehow, some way, they would get better and have their best season in franchise history, where they went 56-22-4 for 116 points. They were 1st in the National Hockey League. They broke numerous records that other teams held in the past that belonged to their franchise, not the NHL records, but they broke their records dating back to the Thrashers history and stuff like that, and then they go on into the first round. They play St. Louis. It's a hard-fought 7-game series. Hellebuck wasn't necessarily the greatest, especially on the road, but they got it done. They would go into the following round against Dallas. They would fight, but they weren't able to get it done, and they would obviously be eliminated in 6 games, unfortunately. But regardless, it was a positive season. But now we're asking ourselves, after Winnipeg did that last year, can they do that again? Or maybe even not do it again? Can they replicate that in some sort? And we'll answer that question in a little bit. But first off, we're going to take a look at the management here for the Winnipeg Jets. You start off with Kevin Cheveldayoff, who has been the general manager since 2011-2012. Yeah, this guy's been around for a long time. I think overall he's made some pretty good moves. Dealing with the small market syndrome, I don't really know what else to call it. Honestly, that is a factor. This team is a small market. It's in a different type of place. So it's been harder to attract star players here, and there's really no denying it. A lot of these guys they have, like Hellebuck and Scheifele and Connor, they're very good players. But in terms of attracting players from free agency, that has been a problem. But Cheveldayoff's done a good job of building this team together. They were the best team in the NHL last year, even with the fact that they're a small market. So I think that really does speak volume about this team as a whole. So Cheveldayoff gets a lot of credit there. And then Scott Arniel was the head coach. He's been there since 24-25 when Rick Bowness retired. Arniel came in. He was there prior as the assistant coach. He comes in, coaches this team. I thought he did a very good job, too. I thought he was a very good coach, and as a result, they would go on and be the best team in the NHL this past year. So overall, this management I have trust in. It really hasn't given me any doubt to not have trust in it. So there you go. You look at your key arrivals and key departures. We're going to put it in one clip here once again because there's really not a lot to discuss here. There is some to discuss, but not a ton. You have Jonathan Toews, Gustav Nyquist, and Tanner Pearson as your notable acquisitions here to the Winnipeg Jets. So Jonathan Toews is a big one. This is a massive wild card, and a lot of people are asking ourselves the question here of, well, what is Toews going to be this year? And honestly, I don't know. He hasn't played in, since 21-22, so that's 1, 2, 3 seasons of not playing hockey. So I genuinely have no clue what to expect here from Jonathan Toews heading into this year. He could be a decent top 6 forward. He could really struggle. We don't know. We're not going to know until the season officially gets underway. But regardless, you have Gustav Nyquist there too. Going to fit in solid there on that right wing side, probably a middle sixer. Pearson, good depth player. He is listed outside of the top 4 when it comes to the lineup for me, but overall, still a very solid forward. And then you look at your key departures list. You have Nikolai Ehlers, Mason Appleton, Brandon Tanev, and Rasmus Kupari. So the biggest loss here for Winnipeg is 120% Ehlers. Like, you really can't argue it whatsoever. Losing Ehlers, who was a longtime Winnipeg Jet, it's going to suck. It really is going to stink here, not having him in Winnipeg anymore. And to be honest with you, I think the guys they brought in are not going to replicate what Nikolai Ehlers was. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Sometimes you're able to go out and acquire a much better player and things will work itself out, but in this case, I don't see that happening. As for the other guys, Appleton, I will miss him here. He was a good bottom sixer. I liked him in the playoffs. Again, when we did the live streams, like, he was one of the top point producers. Just saying. He loves to play when I stream him. Brandon Tanev was a trade deadline acquisition. He was okay there playing on the 4th line, and then Kupari really wasn't finding any spot for him in the lineup. A lot of the time he was either just a depth role or 4th line. Really nothing more than that. But that's your key arrivals and key departures. Overall, there's definitely some guys in here who Winnipeg will miss. The guys coming in are going to be a little bit of a wild card. So, you know what that tells me? It's going to be a pretty interesting season here in Winnipeg. But then that being said, let's take a look at the Hockey News' depth chart for the Winnipeg Jets. You start off on your left wing side. You have Kyle Connor, Cole Perfetti, Nino Niederreiter, you have Morgan Barron, and Tanner Pearson are your guys on your left wing side. So Kyle Connor is great. Great goal scorer. Can probably score 45, maybe even 50 next year. He is, I believe, heading into a contract year, or the next year is the contract year. So I think Winnipeg really needs to get that locked down, especially with Ehlers departing away. You're really going to need to keep somebody around here. So Connor is definitely a guy they're going to be locked in on here to try and get him signed. Perfetti, overall, great player. Carter had a take on the Nordcast saying that Perfetti would have a big step this season. We'll see what happens there, but overall, I thought he had a great season last year for Winnipeg, and overall took a big step. Niederreiter, I've liked him a lot as well. Will be a good middle sixer. He has been since he's come to the team in 23-24. I thought he had a pretty good season last year. Barron, good 4th liner. Really nothing to complain about there. And then Tanner Pearson brings that depth experience, veteran presence. Kind of brings everything besides actual, good hockey. He's a good player. I'm just being mean. Anyway, you look at your center core then for the Jets. You start off with Mark Scheifele, Adam Lyer with an asterisk, Jonathan Toews. I'm sorry if I said Devon Toews before, by the way. Vladislav Nemestikov, rounding out your first 4, and then David Gustafsson as your extra center there for this team. So, Scheifele, I feel like this is going to be a big season for him because, remember, the morning or the night before Winnipeg played Game 6, his father passed away. And that was a really his father passed away. It's just a really sad moment, and I thought even when I was commentating that game and he scored that goal, I could even feel it. I'm like, wow, this is such a powerful moment, and I was even getting a little bit choked up. So I think this is going to be a big season for Scheifele. Lowry has an asterisk to them, and why? Because he is going to miss a little bit of the season to start out. Not a ton, but he is going to miss a little bit. So I do want you guys to keep that in mind. He is going to miss some time. again, as I said, Jonathan Toews is a massive, massive wild card. You don't know what you're getting here. Even with, I would even say the same thing with Landeskog, and I believe I did, however many weeks ago that video was. But regardless, he is a massive, massive wild card to what this team's going to be this coming year. If he's good, then they're a lot better. But if he's bad, I think they're the same. But even still, you don't know. So we'll see what happens there with Toews. Nemestikov, good fourth line center, and then Gustafsson, good depth player there as well on that center core there. Your right wing side, Gabriel Velarde, Gustav Nyquist, Alex Iafallo, Cole Koepka, and Jarrett Anderson-Dolan. So I first off need to apologize. I forgot to mention Cole Koepka is a new arrival, so I do want to say that. But Velarde on that right wing side, Velarde is pretty damn good. The only problem that I have with Velarde is there is some injury issues in there. He has had problems where he's been staying healthy. I remember the year prior, not this year, but the year before, he was really having trouble staying healthy, and when he was playing, he was great. So I'm hoping for a healthy, full season here from Velarde, and if you can get that, this will be a good team. I'm not saying that the fate of this roster relies on Velarde, but regardless, he's very, very good, and very, very underappreciated too. Gustav Nyquist, again, as I said, will be a good middle sixer. Not expecting a lot here from him, but who knows? Maybe Winnipeg fits out, and he's a good acquisition. Iafallo has been a third liner here for a little bit. Has put up some solid numbers. Koepka was in Boston, playing actually like middle 6 minutes. He's going to play a little bit lesser of time here in Winnipeg. That's understandable. And then Dolan, nothing really much to say there, just a depth forward in my opinion. But overall, you look at that forward core for the Jets, I think it is pretty damn good despite the loss of Ehlers. It's a pretty good top six. Your bottom six could use some work, but overall, this is a pretty good team. You look at the defense here for Winnipeg. You start off on your left shot side. You have Josh Morrissey, Dylan Sandberg, Hayden Fleury rounding out your first three, and then Logan Stanley as your extra defenseman there for the Jets. So Morrissey, I am a big fan of Morrissey in my opinion. We did a lot of streams this year. Morrissey was scoring some pretty clutch goals. He was very good defensively too. I mean, this is just somebody who, it's really unfortunate that we have the Cale Makars and Quinn Hugheses and Adam Foxes and whoever other player you think's better than Morrissey. Because if those players didn't exist, Morrissey's winning the Norris. That's just being honest with you. He's come top 5, I think, in a lot of recent years, especially the last 2 seasons. So I think there really is a lot to really accept there about Morrissey. Dylan Sandberg, very good defensive defenseman. This guy's locked down. Last year he was awesome. I'm expecting for him to be great this year as well. Fleury, going to get a full shot here, playing on that left shot side. And then Logan Stanley, Jets fans don't like him. I will just leave it at that. I will not say my opinion on him because I could get in trouble. No, I'm not saying that I like him. But regardless, you look at his defensive play. For a guy who's that tall, it just hasn't been great in the NHL. Your right shot side, you have Dylan DeMello, Neil Pionk, Luke Shen, and then Miller and Solomonson as your extra defenseman there. So we'll get into those guys in just a moment. But DeMello, good top pairing defenseman, was a really good acquisition a couple of years ago from New Jersey. I thought he did great with Morrissey on that top pairing. Pionk was really good offensively, had a really good first half of the year. He was signed to that contract. Now he's got to own up to that. I'm hoping this year is not a regression from the year prior or just, I guess, a fall back down to earth because him signing that contract, I thought it was an okay deal, but even still, he's going to need to bring back even half of that or more offensively this coming year. And then Shen, good defensive defenseman, one of the better defensive defensemen in the league, in my opinion. Colin Miller, good def guy there. He's been a def player for so long. And he's also been with the Jets for a little bit here as well. And then Solomonson, I have him ranked as the second best prospect in the Winnipeg Jets pool. In my opinion, this guy's just got dynamic skill. He looks like a really good defensive defenseman. So I am expecting for him to get at least a little bit of a look at if he has a really good season in Manitoba, barring any injuries. He could be pretty damn exciting. But overall, your Jets defensive core is looking pretty damn good, and I'm excited to see how it's going to do heading into this season. And then you look at the clear biggest strength of the Winnipeg Jets, their goaltending. You have Connor Hellebuck, Eric Comrie, and then DeVincentis and Milik as your extra goaltenders down there in the depth chart as well. So Hellebuck is Hellebuck. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Back-to-back Vezina trophies. The only thing that I would say is, like, he's got to be better in the playoffs. But I did think that in the games against Dallas, I thought he was a lot better. Like, I thought he got a little bit better as the playoffs went on. But, again, you need to see that consistent playoff success, and we just haven't seen that from Connor Hellebuck. Not enough to at least have my opinion swayed on that. Comrie, good backup goalie. He's one hell of a character as well. And then the other two, don't know a ton about them. I know Milik played in the ECHL. I saw him play multiple times. But regardless, the focus is on those top two guys, top one guys, honestly. This is a very good goaltending depth chart, and I'm interested to see how it's going to be this season for sure. So remember that question that I asked at the beginning of the video, asking about how will Winnipeg replicate this last year? Yeah. I have been asking myself that question a little bit here, especially recently, about can the Jets really replicate what they just had? And I hate to say it, but no. And I said the same thing about Washington. You can go watch that video prior. You see a team go like this and they do so good, it's hard to keep that consistency. I don't know the last time where a team won back-to-back first-place finishes. Because in 2025 it was Winnipeg, 2024 it was the Rangers, 2023 it was the Bruins, 2022 it was what? The Panthers? I think? None of those ever won back-to-back. 2021 I think might have been Vegas? I'm not sure. I can't remember the back that far. But regardless, it's hard to keep that consistent success. Now, I'm not saying with that they're going to miss the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying here at all. But you do need to look yourself in the mirror here and say, this team is arguably worse. And that's not me saying that, again, it's not me saying that they're going to be bad next year. This team is worse. They lost Ehlers, who was a very big part of this team's top six. The guys they brought in, I don't think replace him enough. I'm just going to be honest with you. So, again, this team got worse. I think that a lot of the metrics they had last year are going to kind of fall back down to earth here a little bit. But I'm not saying they'll miss the playoffs. I just want to put that out there. This is still a very good team. And the fact that they got worse just doesn't make me very high on the odds that they're going to replicate this next season. Just in my opinion. And now, it's time for the final time I asked this question this year. Playoffs? Standings? Cup? Those are the things that we're asking ourselves here about the Winnipeg Jets. So playoffs, yes. Standings, I think I have them second or third in the Central Division, which should tell you that I'm really not, like, that low on them. I think they're just going to be a little bit worse than they were the previous year. So to be honest with you, like, by a couple of points, more or less, I still think this team's very good. I think they're a top 10, top 5, maybe, finish, in my opinion. But overall, it really does depend. It does depend on how Jonathan Toews does. It depends how the acquisitions do. It depends how, guys like Ehlers and that perform. There's a lot of wild cards to this. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That concludes the season previews for 2025-26. Thank you all for watching. You can go watch all of them here in the playlist above. They are all done. All 32 are finally complete. But thank you all for watching. That is it for me. And I will see you guys in the next video.